if you're the CEO, you got to get comfortable with your numbers. You got to know what the right revenue goal is in order to achieve your take home salary. And there's a lot of ways you can make that happen, right? Like, I like a very lean business. I minimize our expenses as much as I can. Granted, I have a large team. So they're my biggest, your team, and this is true for pretty much any business. Your team is going to be your biggest expense.
Yeah.
But I didn't start out, paying $25,000 a month in team. Like, you don't start off that way. You gradually increase as you have that.
Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Christy Yoder, host of the Master Delegator Podcast. The Master Delegator Podcast is for busy and overwhelmed entrepreneurs who want to learn how to become effective in the area of delegation and learn how to hire great virtual assistants to help them scale their business and have more time and freedom. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing and don't forget to click the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a new video. Alright, let's get started. Hey, in this episode, I had a chance to talk to Rachael Cook from the CEO Collective. Rachel is on a mission to end entrepreneurial poverty of time, energy, and money for women business owners. She's an MBA trained business growth strategist, founder of the CEO Collective, and the host of the Promote Yourself to CEO podcast. Over the last 16 years, she has helped thousands of female entrepreneurs design predictably profitable businesses without the hustle and burnout that doing all the things inevitably accomplishes. In the CEO Collective, Rachel helps purpose driven women entrepreneurs as they implement the strategy, systems, and support to uncomplicate their business so not only do work that makes a difference, but live a life they truly love. Rachel is a sought after speaker on entrepreneurship, marketing, and productivity and has been featured by Forbes, Business Insider, Entrepreneur Magazine, and Washington Post. Rachel's business has grown consistently with a 50% profit margin over the last 15 years, allowing her to not only invest in future growth but pay herself better than most corporate CEOs. From the moment Rachel started her business, she has always tried to only work 25 hours a week, and that helped her to be present in the lives of her children and family. Hey, Rachel, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Christy. I'm so excited to dive into all things delegating and reclaiming your time. This is going to be a great conversation.
Me too. I'm super excited. So before we dive in, why don't you tell us about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So, if you are brand new to me, I am the founder of the CEO Collective and the host of the Promote Yourself to CEO podcast. We help women entrepreneurs to scale service and expert based businesses. So, a lot of coaches, consultants, course creators, creative entrepreneurs. And I have been doing this work really, since I got into consulting around 2005, 2006, but specifically with women entrepreneurs since I decided to go off on my own and start my own company in 2008, 2009. And it has been quite the journey over the last 15 years of being on my own as an entrepreneur, but it has been one of the best things. And for me, coming from the traditional consulting world where you're expected to work 80 hours a week and be on the road, going to clients all the time, like being boots on the ground in those companies, having the ability to both serve people who I just really believe in the work they're doing and the businesses they're growing, but also have the freedom and flexibility to be a mom and be present at home. And I also have a disabled parent who I take care of. So having that freedom and flexibility for me has been the key, I think, to running everything and why I keep doing this work.
Wow, that is really good. So you said the keyword right there, freedom and flexibility. That those two words, freedom and flexibility, those are the words that I normally use all the time, because to me they are very important in running a business. We should have the freedom and flexibility to do what we want to do
Yeah.
when we want to do it, right? And I know that, right now, since you have already established yourself as the CEO of your company, you no longer work more than 24 hours a week, as much as you can, so that you can spend time with your family. So how did you get to that point? Let's
Yeah.
take you back to 2008 first before we go there. What was the business that you started?
So I actually started with the initial brand, the Yogipreneur. I had left the corporate world, and to be honest, I was extremely burned out. I was struggling with a lot of health challenges. I was having panic attacks for the first time ever. So I ended up on a yoga mat, as you do, crying to my yoga teacher that I didn't know what else to do because I was in my 20s, and the only thing I was hearing from doctors was just take this handful of medication and ignore everything that might be triggering you to have these problems. Just go back and, have the six-figure career. And I knew that wasn't the answer. So my yoga teacher looked at me and said, "Well, I think if you don't want to go back, could you help me in my studio? I've had the studio open for a couple years and I need help." And that was a light bulb moment for me because I realized, a lot of people who are like me, they're MBAs, they get recruited straight out of college to go work into these massive companies, these massive corporations. And there's all these small owner operated businesses that need our experience and expertise. But back then there wasn't any. So I knew when I left and started my own thing, I knew first of all, I was struggling with burnout. I was struggling with adrenal fatigue. I had a lot of health things that had happened because of years of just honestly self-neglect and chronic stress. And so I had to work less off the bat because I did not have the energy. And anyone who's ever struggled with adrenal fatigue, like it is hard to get out of bed most days because you're just so absolutely depleted. So I knew I had to shift things. And then I got the double whammy. I got pregnant with twins 6 months into starting my business.
Wow.
So I was put on bed rest and I really had to reevaluate everything because I had to unlearn all of the hustle habits I had learned in corporate. I had to unlearn that, the only way to succeed is to grind out 10 or 12-hour days or more. And I had to think about how can I truly work smarter here? How can I make sure that I'm able to do the work that I love with people who I really believe in what they're doing, but not be doing it at the expense of my health and my family? So I started, you'll love this, Christy, because one of the first things I knew I had to do was hire an assistant. And I did. I made 2 hires the first 6 months that my kids were born because I had
Wow.
twins. I needed a lot of help. I needed a nanny and I needed an assistant because I knew, one, I'm just not the type of mom who can get work done during nap time. My babies were never those types of babies. Plus, I had 2 of them. So I needed help with childcare. And hiring a nanny was just as important to me as hiring an assistant.
Yeah.
I also knew that if I was going to be only working, like I honestly only had the energy for 20 to 25 hours a week. If I was going to be working that limited window, I was like, okay, all the things that need to get done to get this business off the ground, I don't have the time to do half of them. What are the things that only I can do that are going to provide the most value to my business? And that was marketing. It was talking to people, making sales, having sales conversations, actually doing work with my clients. But I realized really quickly, someone else could manage my calendar. Someone else could manage my inbox. Someone else could follow up. Like I had applications for people to get on calls with me. They were following up and booking all of those calls. And this was way before there were no automated systems in
Yeah.
2008, y'all. There was no Calendly, there was no automated email stuff. Like it was all very kind of old school. And it would have taken a lot of time for me to do all of that myself. It's really easy to spend hours following up with people, making phone calls, setting appointments, all of that. So I hired an assistant out the
That's
gate.
really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. You know what? As of the moment, I don't have kids yet, but I know for sure that I'm gonna need help, taking care of my baby. I even told my husband that if we're gonna have a baby, or even if we're still planning on having a baby, I need to get one of my nieces from the Philippines to come here to take care of the baby already. Because even now it's just me and my husband at home. We couldn't
Yeah.
even find time to wash the dishes, to fold our clothes. How much more if we have, bigger responsibilities, right? So I'm really glad to hear from you that you have decided, back in 2008 to hire an assistant to take care of your baby. So that's really good. That just goes to show that you know what you're not supposed to do, and you know what are the things that you, the only one, can
Yeah.
do, you know. So how do you make sure that you protect your time?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is where I am a I love your podcast name. I am a master delegator at home and at work.
Yay.
So, I think this is something that is a learned skill. I know a lot of women feel like they have to do it all, that they need to be the one to do the laundry and to wash the dishes and to do the grocery run and all of that. And I am here to tell you, like, I have laundry service. They come pick up our laundry once a week and they deliver it and it's folded. And I don't have to
Wow.
touch it. Like we have grocery delivery service. We have automated everything that we can automate at home. And it frees up time because then when I'm at home, I actually get to do things like hang out at the pool with my kids. Or
Right.
if it's a beautiful day, like let's go on a hike. And that to me is much more valuable than spending all day Saturday cleaning my house top to bottom. Like, I would rather pay somebody to come do that. And I am contributing back to people who this is their livelihood, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
all of those people love having us as a client because they know like we are dependable, they can count on us, and we know that they're dependable. We can count on them. It frees up my bandwidth to do the things that are most important. And to me, cleaning my house, doing laundry, like that is not the highest, most important thing in my life. Same thing with my business, right? Like a lot of those administrative level tasks are things that someone else can take over. And as I've grown my business, I mean, we have about 15 people on the team between our core team and like people who are experts who we hire to do things like edit our podcast and things like
Hmm.
that. I am always looking for where can I pull myself out of being the bottleneck? Where can I make sure that I am truly doing the part of the plan that only I can do? So, and you know this, you said your husband edits your podcast.
Yep.
Well, for a long time, I think this is common when you first get started. Like you do have to kind of do everything until you get to the point where you can outsource some of those things. And it can feel a little bit chicken egg sometimes because it's like, well, if I could get someone to take this off my plate, then I could go focus more on marketing or focus more on sales. But each time I'm looking at anything in our plan, like marketing takes a huge amount of my time and energy. That's probably a good 2 or 3 days a week of what I'm working on is marketing related activity. But I only do the things that I can do, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else on my team picks up all the other pieces. So things like booking me for podcasts. Like when we connected and you're like, I want to have you on the podcast. I'm like, great. Bridget and her team at Podcast Ally can make sure we get all the details.
Yep.
I don't need to be involved beyond you saying, hey, Rach, can you come be on the show? Me producing my own podcast, same thing. The only thing I need to do is sit down and press record and the team handles everything else. Like they edit it, they do the show notes, they upload it, they write the newsletter, they write the social media content. And for a long time, I think this is really common. Again, like when you're the person who started everything, sometimes you want to get back in, like, I just want to tweak it a little bit, but that
Yeah.
is not the highest and best use of my time. It's just
Yeah.
not. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I think that's where I am now. I'm always looking at like what is the strategy on our plate? And then I have to ask myself and I ask my team. I'm like, here's what we're working on. So we have a new campaign we're working on coming up this summer and I made the plan, I made the strategy, and then I talked to the team. Here's what we want to do. And they're all telling me, well, I can do this part, I can do this part, I can do this part. So I've empowered my team now to reach out to me and say, hey, I can take these parts off your plate. You don't have to do that. You do what
That's
only you can
awesome.
do.
Mhm. That is really awesome. I love what you said earlier about us business owners, sometimes we can be the bottleneck, of our business. So we have to make sure that us entrepreneurs, business owners, we're not hindering our growth just because we can't we can't let go of the things that we're not supposed to do,
Yeah.
and a lot of times, if there are people waiting on us in order for them to get something done, that that puts a lot of pressure on us entrepreneur, and that puts a lot of uh, put a lot of disappointment, to your team members as well, because they want to get the job done but they can't because they're waiting on you. So I love what you said
Mhm.
about, find out or figure out what are the things that are slowing down your business just because you're afraid of letting those tasks, go. And
Yeah.
I love what you also said about, having your groceries delivered and having your laundry services, folded already and then sent to your house. That's really awesome. I mean, I don't know if we have that kind of, services here, because we live in a country-ish, so I don't think we have that type of service yet for laundry, but I hope we do. Maybe I can start that.
Maybe you
And
should check it out. But I think it's to me, it's all about looking at what are and this is where being aware of just where your time is going, right? I love there's I don't know who said it, but it's like I can discover what's truly important to you by looking at 2 things, your bank account and your calendar.
yeah,
And it tells me what you actually value. Because a lot of times I'll hear people say, well, I want more freedom and flexibility because I want to take care of my health. I want to have time to, go on hikes. I want to make sure I'm living a great lifestyle. I want to have more time with my family. But if you look at their calendar, it's just slant. Like if they were to time track for a week, we could find so many areas where they are caught in the weeds. And at the
yeah,
end of the day, like if you are the business owner, if you are the CEO, the more you're in the weeds, the slower your business is going to grow. You have to get out of the weeds and you have to not just outsource it, but have people who you trust so that they can fully take ownership of it. I think this is another big thing. And it's also a reason why a lot of people struggle to find a great assistant or a great people on their team is because they are so micromanaging every little thing. It's like they have a death grip. They don't want to give up control. They're so worried that that person is not going to do it the way they would do it.
yeah,
And that
that's
will
true.
it will not only slow you down, it is going to frustrate the crap out of your team. If you can't let them just show up and do the work you hired them to do, they're just gonna get frustrated, and again, you're becoming the bottleneck again.
Exactly. And you shouldn't only delegate tasks, you should delegate responsibilities. You have to explain to your team members, the reason behind those tasks that you want them to do. Don't just say, "Hey, I want you to do this because I don't have time."
Yeah,
Explain, the your vision, why you want them to do your social media posting, so. And it reminds me of the Pareto principle, which is the 80-20 rule. If you do only the 20%, the important things, which should be the 20% of your time, those
yeah,
20%, it will give you the 80% that you didn't even do, because you only focus on the 20, and those are the things that should bring ROI to your business. And to you, it's
yeah,
marketing. And even for me, I focus a lot of my time on marketing strategies, because I know that that's the thing that I'm good at, and I'm confident that if I'm the one, strategizing for our marketing campaigns, I know that it will function, or it will flow the way how I want it to be. But I am not the only one doing our marketing. I am the brain, and I have a lot of hands. I have my team members to execute my marketing strategies. And so some days, actually, like just this Monday, I've done all the things I've done already. I have came up with a marketing strategy, and I was like, okay, I'm done. What else? I've got nothing to do now. What else? Oh, I don't have anything to do, because my calendar is filled with white space. That means
Yeah.
if I have white space in my calendar, that means I have a lot of time to think. And thinking time is very crucial for us entrepreneurs because it's our time to think about what we want to do in our business, to think about, okay, what's gonna happen, especially now, recession is probably gonna come sooner or later, and there's inflation, so we need to anticipate the challenges that we may face in the next coming days or weeks, and prevent those challenges to come, or to affect your business by thinking through what you should be doing now.
Absolutely. I think you hit this exactly right because I think this is where a lot of small business owners find themselves stuck is they can't see beyond like this week or this month. And if you're going to have longevity, if you're going to be here, not just this year, but 5 years, 10 years, talk to anybody who's been through the last recession,
Yeah.
talk to people who've been through the ups and downs. And a huge part of your job as the CEO, yes, it is being kind of the rainmaker, the person who brings in the
Right.
business and who's doing the marketing and sales, and kind of leading that. But it's also the person who holds the vision. And like you said, you need white space for that vision. And I find often a lot of small business owners, we forget how to dream big when we're lost in the minutia. We forget what's possible.
That is so
And
sad.
we lose sight of like what's coming on the horizon. And right now, like you said, it's such a good time to be thinking a little longer term about like how are we going to navigate what might be a little bit of a turbulent season.
Right.
Turbulent seasons always happen, right? We cannot control that. We can do nothing there, but we can be thinking about, okay, do I need to audit my business and see what's working and what's not working? How can I streamline things? How can we simplify things? How can we, this is a great time to be keeping an eye on your finances and think
Right.
about, do I need to streamline our finances? Do I need to reduce any expenses or wasteful spending? Do we need to pad our business savings account? Like if you I follow the tech startup world all the time, and people who are advising these big tech startups who've raised millions and millions of dollars, they're all saying like keep more cash on hand
Yeah.
because this is going to be a harder time for them to raise money. Well, same with a lot of small business owners. This might be a more challenging time to keep revenue where you had wanted it, so you need to have that buffer, you need to have that safety net. And these are CEO level decisions,
Yeah.
right? You have to be able to get out of the weeds. And I will say, as someone who's gone through ups and downs, putting yourself in a strong financial position right now is a CEO move, right?
Yeah.
Going to the bank and getting a line of credit, do it now because it'll be harder to do it if a recession truly hits.
Yeah.
If you need to pay off any business credit cards you have and keep those lines of credit open, like these are the times to do that now. But if you're in the minutia and you're not paying attention to what's changing in the world, then you're going to find yourself like in panic mode in 6 months or in a year.
Yeah, that is so true. And I think I mentioned a little bit about this in my previous episodes, that sometimes us business owners, we are so focused on taking care of our clients' business, but we neglect our own business,
Yeah.
because we don't have that thinking time. We don't have that white space in our calendar to think about our own business.
Are you sick and tired of being overwhelmed and afraid you'll never scale your business? Meet Smart VAs. Unlike many virtual assistant agencies that only assign one dedicated virtual assistant, we provide flexibility for growing businesses by assigning a team of experienced virtual assistants that can do different tasks to support your continuous growth. Visit smartvas.online to book a free discovery call and start growing your business.
And so you've been in the business for 16 years, and now you are paying yourself, the considerable amount, or the enough I don't know what the right term to use, but the compensation as the CEO that you're supposed to get. How did you get to that point? Because
Yeah.
some business owners, when they start their business, at the beginning they don't pay themselves enough because they reinvest their salary to their business. So how did you get to that point where you pay yourself enough and you only work 25 hours a week?
Yeah. This is where it's really important to set the right revenue goal and make sure, again, if you're the CEO, you got to get comfortable with your numbers. You got to know what the right revenue goal is in order to achieve your take home salary. And there's a lot of ways you can make that happen, right? Like, I like a very lean business. I minimize our expenses as much as I can. Granted, I have a large team. So they're my biggest, your team, and this is true for pretty much any business. Your team is going to be your biggest expense.
Yeah.
But I didn't start out, paying $25,000 a month in team. Like, you don't start off that way. You gradually increase as you have that. I think for me, one, I always make sure I pay myself first. And I think this is a huge problem for a lot of entrepreneurs. They pay themselves last. They do not build their strategy on paying themselves first. They build it on just growing, 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 and not paying attention to the bottom line. And if your money is just constantly going out, then at the end of the day, you're not actually building wealth for yourself. You're not actually contributing to your family. You might have a 6 or 7 figure business, but if you have nothing to show for it at the end of the day, then I think there's a problem there. I think we have to reprioritize that and pay yourself first.
That's so true.
Yeah. And even if it's, I mean, in the beginning, if it's saying, you know what, I'm making 5 grand a month, I'm going to make sure I'm paying myself at least 2,500 of that a month. Like, I'm going to pay myself half of it. This is where setting that rule for yourself will help so much, and being really clear about, okay, if I'm paying myself 50%, then I can put 30% towards team. Well, maybe that means you have $1,000 to invest in your team. You can get a lot of support for $1,000.
Yeah, that's so
And
true.
I think people forget that. Like, you can get a lot of help from an assistant for $1,000 a month, and then you just continue to adjust and grow. Like, this is something I look at every quarter. Every quarter I'm looking at, like, where's our revenue at? I'm adjusting my own pay about once a year. I pay myself bonuses based on growth,
Now,
but
are
I
you
think,
on payroll or
yeah,
you are?
I
Okay.
I I set myself, if you're making more than probably $50,000 revenue a year, $100,000 revenue a year, you need to talk to a CPA about setting
Yeah.
yourself up on payroll. And that will, one, not only help you figure out, like, what's a minimum payroll I can just pay myself. I know that's going to come into my family and take care of us. But it also helps. I mean, the thing I love about it is it helps me streamline things like paying taxes, et cetera, because every month it's automated, it's happening. And then once a quarter, you can give yourself a bonus based on, additional revenue and profits that came in. So I think it's important to set those foundations up first. And yes,
Yeah.
there may be periods where you choose to reinvest more and pay yourself less, but you have to keep your finger on the pulse of that, because it's really easy. And I see this all the time. Entrepreneurs love to reinvest into the business because it's like, did you ever see that episode of Schitt's Creek where David's going, it's a write off. It's a write off. I can just write it off. And his dad is sitting there going, like, what? How do you think a write off works?
Yeah.
And I think it's important. You have to think about, like, okay, what is my budget for this? If I'm looking at making this much a year, then what is my budget for team this year? What is my budget for my own development this year? If you're just constantly saying, well, I'm reinvesting, I'm reinvesting, but you're not actually doing the math. You're not actually crunching the numbers. And the most important thing is, if you're reinvesting, what is the ROI you're expecting from that reinvestment?
Yeah, that's so
I
true.
I think this is crucial because often I'll hear people who they start doing things that really are low ROI. Um, I see this a lot just because, I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in what looks good, especially in these internet streets.
Right.
But if I see so many people who they invest so heavily into things like branding and uh, making sure they look really successful. But
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes, it's like that has such a low ROI compared to other areas you could deploy that
Yeah,
same
that's so
resource.
true. Yeah.
So
And
I'm always looking at when it comes to reinvestment into the business, one, what is my budget for it? I have a budget. I have a budget based on what we're currently bringing in, and I have a budget based on our future goal,
yeah.
right? And I'm checking in because I can increase our reinvestment budget into certain things based on, are we on track or off track? And then each time I say, okay, this is our marketing budget. What is the current expenses we're spending for marketing? So that includes like my podcast production team, my podcast pitching team,
Right.
running ads. And I might actually look at the performance of some of those things and say, you know what? Our ad performance has not been great. What if we took that budget and deployed it somewhere else?
Yep.
Where
Mm-hmm.
could we get better ROI for the same or less money? And I think these are the decisions you have to make, and you have to be willing to look at it and not just continue doing something because you've been doing it that way. The
Yeah.
market's changing too fast and business is changing too fast to just kind of sit there and let these expenses accumulate, but never say, you know what, I think I could get an ROI with a different investment here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's so good. And you won't be able to do those things if you don't have white spaces in your calendar.
Mm-mm.
If you're I am a doer, like I'm so used to doing things, but now I am learning how to only do things but also think through things, because that's my responsibility. I
Yeah,
need to I need to have that vision and also relay that vision to my team members at the same time. And I feel like some of us entrepreneurs, we forget, we think about reinvesting to our business, but we tend to forget about investing to ourselves
mm,
as well, because we hustle hard, we work hard just to make sure that our business grows. And the more we work hard, the more we need to invest in ourselves, and we need to appreciate
yeah,
ourselves by paying ourselves the right amount of money that we should take home on a monthly basis. And I love that you said that you're on a payroll, because at the first year of my business, I was just transferring money from my business account to my checking account, because the money is not that big yet.
yeah,
But during my second year, and even my first year, I was the one who did our taxes. And the second year, I was like, I cannot do this anymore. There's just so many big numbers involved now, and I don't want to make any mistakes, because I don't want to get sued by IRS or owe them anything. And so I hired, you know, a CPA to take care of my payroll and to take care of my taxes for me. And I think having that discipline and knowing that there are other responsibilities that you need to do, and
yeah,
and paying taxes, that's one of our biggest responsibilities, right, as a
yeah.
business owner. Because if you don't pay your taxes, on time and the right way, if you don't pay the right amount, you're going to be in trouble. So I think that's one of the things we have to delegate as well, as we are growing our business.
Absolutely. And I love what you said. Like, we need to reinvest back into ourselves. And I want to say, I call this your CEO compensation plan. If someone were to go hire me now to be a CEO of another company, here's what I would require as part of my compensation to say yes to that.
Yeah.
And here's the nice thing, you can design that to be as attractive as you want it to be, right? So, what is your business offering you for your compensation plan? And I think you should consider, this is where it has to be more than just like, what's my salary? It needs to think about, what does my retirement plan look like?
Yeah,
You know what's really
exactly.
cool? As an entrepreneur, you can have an incredible retirement plan that you set up for yourself, and you can reduce your taxes by a lot with a great
Hmm.
retirement plan. Like, we have a 401k set up in our business, and we made sure that that was a really like attractive retirement plan with a
Yeah.
match and everything. Like, those are things you can put in place for your company that help you grow your wealth. I also think about like, what is my health compensation? Because again, if I were to go get hired to run another company, what does that package look like? What do the health benefits look like?
Yeah.
What does my health insurance look like? Am I getting do they have a package that allows me to pay for chiropractic care and massage and all these other things that I enjoy and I like, and they help me to show up when I sit down in this chair, I need to be focused. My brain can't be all foggy. I need to feel good. I need to have high energy. So, what does my
Yeah.
healthcare package look like for me and my family? And then think about other perks. One of the perks we put in place in our team is a housekeeping stipend,
Wow.
because I believe that one of the biggest reasons women struggle to find the freedom and flexibility, regardless of whether or not they're an entrepreneur, like you can be an employee, and we're seeing this now, things are changing really fast. Everybody wants freedom and flexibility. They just might
Yeah.
not want to start a business. Well, I thought, you know what? What's the biggest thing I hear from women that is a struggle for them? It's looking around their house when they're working from home saying, there's so much to do. I feel like I can't stay focused when I can see all the stuff. And I'm like, great, here's a perk for everybody on the team. We're going to give you a stipend to get a housekeeper in at least once a month.
That
And it
is really
frees them up.
good.
Right. And so you can make your own compensation plan here and start working towards it. I
Yeah.
love this. And I built this into our Get Paid calculator, which I'll have to send you the link for. I think we set up a link already for
Yeah,
you. It's like
that's
the
on your website.
ceocollective.com/delegator.
Mhm.
And the reason I set up the calculator the way I did is because I think these are things we need as CEOs to be thinking about. Like, not just what do you need, to pay your bills today. But if you're looking and incrementally working towards bigger goals for yourself, like maybe you want to buy a house or you want to buy a second house,
Yeah.
maybe you want to start really saving aggressively for college for your kids, maybe you want to go on more vacations. Like, I've got that all lined up, and every year I'm asking myself, what does my compensation need to look like so that I can achieve all these other goals?
Yeah.
When I know that my business is making it so easy for me, like we took a vacation with the kids in January for their birthdays. We went to the mountains and went skiing and snowboarding. Just got back from another vacation with my husband for a whole 5 days to celebrate our anniversary. We got another vacation to the beach coming up. Like, every quarter, we're going on these really nice
That's
vacations.
really awesome. And you don't have to feel guilty about that because we deserve
No,
vacation, we deserve rest, right? And I think
absolutely.
a lot of people they feel guilty about going on vacation. And one thing I want to add to what you said, which is really really good. Um when I talk to my business coach, I ask my business coach, is this amount the right salary for me? And it's like, mm, man, like maybe not, because you have to also think about whose name is on the contract. It's your name, right? It's your name that is gonna get sued if anything happens in your business, if anything, just in case. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure that won't happen, but still, in documents, whose name is on it? Your name is on there, so you have bigger responsibilities. That's why you have to pay yourself more.
yep.
And because you have to invest in yourself, like what we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely. I think the thing that breaks my heart more than anything, I remember it was probably a few years ago. I was talking to a friend who owned a web design agency, and she was really growing fast. Her business was growing very fast. She was getting on a lot of clients, for retainer design clients, which on the surface sounded great. But then she said to me, "My junior designers are getting paid more than I'm getting paid." And
Wow.
I'm sitting here going, you're growing this business and you're not even taking home like 50 grand a year right now. And to
Wow.
me, that was heartbreaking, because I'm like, I could see how much stress she was under. And once you start building a team, yes, that payroll can keep you up at night. That payroll can make you think, okay, I better get it together, because now there are all these people depending on me to pay their bills.
Yeah.
But it's like that whole, you've got to put your oxygen mask on first. Like you said, at the end of the day, you're the one that all the contracts are on the hook for, right? Like, you start really growing and you're the one holding all of that responsibility. And if you're not even taking care of yourself, you're not taking care of your family, there will come a point where the pressure just feels so opposite of what it should. Like, it doesn't you paying your payroll should feel exciting,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
like a burden. And I think that's a big thing. Like, when I sit down on the first of the month and I pay everybody's invoices to me, I love it. I mean, I sit down and I'm like, I got my little glass of wine and I'm sitting
Yeah,
here going, oh, I always send them a note. Thank you. You did such a great job this month. I so appreciate you. And I am grateful and happy that I am able to create opportunities for all these amazing women on my team, whether they're
exactly.
like in my core team or they're, an outsourced expert. But if I sat down and instead was sitting there going, oh God, this is so expensive. I can't believe how much this is costing me every month. Maybe I should just simplify everything and get rid. I could do this part. I can do my editing of my podcast. I can
Mm-hmm.
make all the graphics in Canva. That is the fastest way to play small. It's the fastest way to build a business that you resent and really just kind of lose the joy of being an entrepreneur.
And we don't want to get to that point, right? We should always enjoy what we're doing, because if we start to lose that passion, our
Yeah.
business is not going to function well, because we're not going to give our 100% best to the business if we're not happy about it anymore. It's just like relationship, right? You have to like intentionally put your efforts into it and make sure that everything that you do is working effectively for the business. So, Rachel, this has been really, really great. I feel like we can talk all day, but I want to know how you delegate effectively to your team members.
Yeah. Oh, this is such a big question. I mean, the first thing is I again have not wanted to be the bottleneck. So I have an operations director who manages a lot of the official delegation. And Amber is very much my number two. She keeps all the trains running on time. And I think for me, the most important thing about delegating, one is they see the vision. I think one problem a lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs have is we hold it all up here and we never communicate it, right? Like we're holding it all in our head. We can see what we're creating. We're excited about it, but our team's kind of confused because they don't actually know what that looks like. It hasn't really been articulated to them. So one thing is I am always telling them, here's where we're going. Here's our goals. Here's our focus this quarter. I make sure every quarter they know what the plan is. They know what the strategy is we're executing. That clarity means they can make decisions without having to come to me.
Yeah.
It means I can say, hey, this is our marketing strategy we're implementing this year. And I can just say, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this. I never have to answer big questions about stuff. If they have questions, they'll actually go to Amber and she'll answer them.
That is
So
really awesome.
I've removed myself from a lot of that. And this is where it's not just delegating, it is truly empowering your team to make decisions that are in the best interest of the business. And you can only do that when they see your vision. You can only do that when they know your values, when they know what the business is truly trying to accomplish and what you're about. And when you do that, it frees up so much of that mental load, that kind of running worry that things aren't getting done the right way. It's like, no, I can trust them. They know exactly what we're about and what we're trying to
Yeah.
accomplish here.
Yeah. That is so good. If you have Amber, I have Regine. She's also my operations. I mean, you call Amber your operations director, but Regine is my
Yeah.
operations manager, but she's pretty
Yep.
much the one running the business, and I'm the one just deciding on things that are big, only, the decisions that only me can decide on. So,
Yep.
I wow. I mean, hearing hearing it from you that I'm doing what you're doing as well, it's kind of like gives an affirmation to me, like, Christy, you're doing the right thing because Rachel is doing it. And she has helped a lot of women entrepreneurs. So I was like, ah, I'm doing the right thing. So thank you for sharing that, Rachel. So any last few words or wisdom that you want to share to our fellow
Mm.
entrepreneurs who are still stressed and overwhelmed, like how can they save more time and energy as the business owner or as the CEO?
Yeah. I mean, I think it all comes down to really having that clear vision and knowing what you are here for and trusting that the people you're bringing alongside you in this journey, the people you're hiring to be a part of your team, they want that too. They really want to. I like everyone on my team has been around 4 years. Amber and I have been working together since 2011. Most of our team has been on the team for 4 or 5, sometimes 8 years.
Wow.
And they stick around and we work so well together. We're so seamless at this point because everyone believes in what we are doing. And I think if you can hire people and bring people on your team who can see that vision and who believe in what you stand for and who love the work that they're doing with you, and you're actually empowering them to be great at what they do, not micromanaging them, trying to make them, you know, your own clone, your business will be so much better for it. You don't need a bunch of clones running around. You need a bunch of people who can think on their own, who have amazing values, who have incredible skill sets, and who can truly show up and support you, support your team, support your clients.
Yeah, that is so good. Speaking of cloning yourself, I don't think I want another Christy Yoder. I feel like I'm gonna hate the other Christy Yoder because we're so similar. I want somebody who's different than me, who can pick my brain, but at the same time who can like bring value to me and also teach me, how to do some things that I don't know. So I want
Exactly.
to have team members that are different, but we're the same in terms of having the same vision and mission and also core values.
Absolutely. I think that's really the secret to having a great team and feeling like you can, when you feel like you can trust them and you can press pause personally and take a little time away and know that it's all handled. You're not going to come home to like, nothing's worse than the day after vacation and you feel like there's just all these fires you have to put out. When you have a great team, that doesn't happen
Yeah.
because they have your back all the time.
That is so true. And you can talk about a lot of things with them. You don't even have to hide that you're stressed about, your business and everything. You can just talk freely about that with them, and they will be there to support and understand you, and they will help you, not just
Yeah,
support and, listen to you when you're like venting out, what's going on with the business, but they will also be there to help you out. Well, thank you so much,
exactly.
Rachel, for your time. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Where
Thank you
can
so much
people
for
find you
having me.
online?
You can find me at theceocollective.com and I am active on Instagram at Rachael.Cook is probably one of the best places to find me.
Yay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today, Rachel.
Thank you.